Good morning, everyone. It is October 4th, and I'm going to try to alleviate some of the fear that is permeating throughout the West right now. Western media, Twitter, Elon Musk's tweet that continues to be a subject. And I'm going to throw some water on that fire here so we can maybe take it down a notch, because this is exactly what Russia wants. So here are some thoughts on Russia's nuclear signaling and how we can kind of separate what is real from what is propaganda and honestly just bad journalism across the board. And I'm literally looking at you, media, because you're driving this. First, you need to listen what the U.S. and NATO say about Russia's nuclear posture. As of today, nothing has changed from either. There have been no reports coming out of NATO saying that Russia's nuclear posture has increased. The U.S. is saying nothing has changed. That is the most credible source we're going to have. Whether you like it or not, until the U.S. and NATO signal that there is an emergency situation coming up, nothing has changed. So when Russia comes out and says they're going to test their Sarmat missile, which is called the Satan II, or their Poseidon submarine, or their Poseidon torpedo nuclear weapon, those are routine. Those were already going to happen, or if they weren't already going to happen, they're being monitored. And they're just normal testing for new equipment. The Sarmat and the Poseidon are both new equipment. The United States tests its Minuteman systems constantly. It tests its Trident missile systems constantly. These tests happen for all nuclear nations, and it's a good thing because it means that the systems are being held in check. There's not going to be any accidents, etc. Now, obviously, it comes at a stressful time where Russia is doing terrible things in Ukraine and the West and Russia are at odds. But these are long-running programs, and both the Sarmat and Poseidon are not in operational service yet. So there's going to be tests of them. And such tests do not involve live nuclear warheads. Now, what would we be concerned with? Increasing the ICBM, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile exercises and capabilities, having long-range aviation exercises that are moving near the Ukrainian border, conducting strategic exercises involving test firing ICBMs and submarine launched ballistic missiles in operational service. These are called GROMs in Russia. It's like a full nuclear test from end to end. It goes from the order coming down from the Kremlin, runs through the entirety of the systems, all the way to launch at the platform. Those aren't happening as of yet, but they are going to. Russia conducts these GROMs on an annual or semi-annual basis. They conducted one right before invading Korea. I was just looking at Korea stuff. Invading Ukraine. The other thing is the increased movement of ballistic missile submarine patrols. Now, that one is something that has happened. Russia recently moved its nuclear missile submarine, the Belgorod, from port, but it hasn't left the White Sea and is expected to appear in the Arctic Ocean for a series of tests. These tests involve that Poseidon torpedo I was talking about. Now, the concern is that Russia may test a live nuclear torpedo in a live nuclear test. That would be the biggest concern. Not entirely sure how that looks or what that looks like, but there are concerns there. It is the only Russian submarine designed to carry the weapon. But the thing is the weapon isn't expected to be completed until 2027. No earlier than 2027, according to multiple experts in Russia themselves. The U.S. maintains a series of very sophisticated and very secretive satellites designed to monitor all nuclear movements in Russia and China. Now, before even a nuclear test of one of these torpedoes takes place, or a nuclear missile test takes place with a live nuke, or even a nuclear attack happens, Russia has to remove its non-strategic nuclear warheads from storage. The tactical nuclear warheads have to be moved from storage. We know where their storage units are. We know where they keep them. We monitor them. The next step, it's the next step. You can't just have nuclear weapons on the battlefield suddenly. The warheads are kept in secure locations, in silos. To move them to battlefields, we have to monitor that. Now, you have to deliver, and then you have to upload them onto the Iskander units, which is held on ships and subs and aircraft. Even if this is done, and it hasn't, it doesn't necessarily mean that nuclear use is coming. It's not imminent. Russia, in its escalatory posture, may do this. They may start moving their nuclear weapons out of storage. It doesn't mean they're going to use them. They're trying to escalate to de-escalate, is what it seems like. They're trying to get to such a level that everyone finally backs off, and it has finally worked to their favor. So just because, and I can't stress this enough, just because they're moving their nuclear warheads doesn't mean they're going to use them. And they haven't even started moving their nuclear warheads. The movement of those nuclear warheads would be concerning and scary, because it does increase potentials for accidents, and it does increase potential for a realistic attack. But until then, until we get to the next step in the chain, which is that movement, then we need to be a little bit more discerning in what we're reading. Now, we are taking the threats seriously, and there's a lot of resources involved, like I said. But succumbing to the fear, like Elon Musk's fear, isn't helpful. It's exactly what Russia wants to accomplish, and the Western media is now bearing a large responsibility for that. There's been clickbait, fear-mongering, propaganda, and it's just sloppy journalism all around. The way to inform and prepare the public is through calm and open debate, focusing on the facts of what's happening. Unsubstantiated headlines like Putin has ordered his nuclear train to Ukraine from the Times of London is not helpful and lacks context. So what really is going on there is imagery has emerged on social media, and we all know how reliable that is, that shows that one or more Russian trains are carrying a number of rare 4x4 BMP-97 Vistral light armored vehicles, which are fitted with a 30mm cannon. Now, the reason they say that this is a nuclear train is because these vehicles, these BMP-97s, traditionally belong to Russian military's 12th Main Directorate, which oversees the country's nuclear arsenal. It's called the 12th GUMO. Now, they're normally tasked with escorting nuclear weapons if called upon. They would be driving these warheads and escorting, not being put on trains empty. This is likely a backfill measure, a training situation, or more saber rattling. Though it might seem hard to believe on its face that Russia would take vehicles from its nuclear security unit, they've done it before. They removed units from their strategic rocket forces, the RVSN, and sent them to the front line as individual replacements. So it's happened before. These are the Russian strategic missile forces and the GUMO units are better trained than conscripts. They're better equipped to hold ground and fight because they're more highly trained. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to change things on the battlefield, but it could be an event to try and slow Ukrainian advances. They would be more capable and better equipped than the completely untrained conscripts. So the bottom line is, we don't actually know where these vehicles are going. We don't know who they belong to, although we assume it's to the 12th GUMO, which is in control of their strategic nuclear weapons posture. But they're not moving under their own power. They're on trains. The units are not necessarily going with the vehicles, and we haven't seen any movement of the nuclear warheads. So I am just a small TikToker, but God damn it, we need to do better in our journalism so that we don't have firestorms on Twitter that benefit Russia. Russia is losing this war, so they're going to try everything they can to find cracks in the support of Ukraine from the United States and other Western countries. And they seem to have found one, at least temporarily. Russia has not changed anything other than its rhetoric. And the U.S. and NATO are still confident that all of Russia's nukes are right where they were 6 to 8 months ago. And there you go.